Hey, I'm JD. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe. Please hit like. And I'm going to the final phase, hopefully, of this adventure. Second to last phase, maybe. So I just made a video on how to clean a watch balance complete, and now I'm going to install it. So this is a big moment for any watchmaker who's doing work on a very nice old vintage pocket watch, or a watch for that matter. You want to make sure it runs. So I made the video on assembling the movement the other day. So this is a very nice old Elgin watch movement from 1885. What I really like about this movement is the dust cover. The fact that this little dust cover comes in two separate slices, and they're right there, and you just kind of slide them back. Let me just turn the light off here. It's reflecting too much. No, it's not that. It's the other light. Oh my God. So you just slide those back, and then they tend to, they cover there, they are there. And you slide those out, and then you slide them back in. And they slide in and out really well. So in the other video, I showed you how there was action. I had changed the mainspring, and I showed you that. And I showed you how to change the mainspring on the barrel. And now what I want to do is put this balance back in the watch. So it's the big moment for the watch. It's when you put that balance back in. I already installed pins for the face too. So I'm just going to put this face down. Face down. Is that a joke? I'm just going to put this watch movement down here. And this is going to drop straight down, which is nice with these old movements. You don't have to go sideways or whatever, but you kind of have to make sure that the balance comes in at the right angle as well. It has to be on the correct side of the pallet fork. And so I did a complete video on cleaning this balance, and now I just want to see if the darn thing will tick for me. So let's just focus on this and see if I got myself a tick. So I've already put a little bit of a wind on this movement, and I'm just going to touch this to see which side that goes on. So that's good. So I want the balance will go here. So I put the pallet fork on this side of the hole, not on this side, on this side of the hole. And so I can enter it this way. So put it in like this and then turn it like that, and it should fit in here nicely. So and then I should be getting a little bit of ticking, right? And the regulator should fit in here somehow, but we'll worry about that after. So I have to adjust this thing so it's ready to accept the balance. So let me turn it this way. I do have the screw for that in another case, one of many cases I have for this, but let's get this balance in place and see how well it works or how well it doesn't work. We'll see. So I grab the balance very carefully, and there it is there. And I've got it hanging over the top now, and I just want to make sure it enters this way. So I always like to quiet the balance down a bit because they're always bouncing all over the place. So just quiet it down a bit like that. And I want to just lower it in place with a bit of an angle like this. And then I'll turn the whole balance cock until I get close to gold, Jerry. Okay. And there we go. It's now in place. Now the question is, will this work? Look at that. We've got action. So that is a very good thing, right? I'm not sure about the amplitude yet, or whether that's going to get better. It usually gets a lot better, actually. But I will put the screw in right now so I can make sure that balance is secured. And remember, this watch is from 1885. You got to respect a piece of machinery that's that old that still works. And actually I'm getting fairly decent amplitude on this right now as it is, without even having a full wind on it. I want to put a little bit of pressure on the top of that balance just to make sure it stays in place while I turn the screw. I don't want it hopping, but it shouldn't, but it might. You never know. So I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure on here like that as I fit the screw on, and very carefully screw that in place. Now that is screwed in place, everything is tight, And I just want to make sure all these are good. These were all tightened before, so I shouldn't have to tighten anything here. This should all be good. I also oiled it on the top, so I shouldn't really have to put any oil on there. I don't believe I oiled no, I did oil the other side. I oiled the other side, and I'm trying to remember whether I oiled the top here. I think I did. I'm not absolutely sure, but I think I did. I'll have to look at my own video again. But it looks like it's rotating rather nicely, which I like, right? And the mainspring is definitely in place, providing power to the balance, or providing power to the movement. And my dunker tank can now be put away, the infamous dunker tank. Tell me if you like my dunker tank. I want to hear good things about it. I heard someone actually wanted me to make them one. I said, can you make me a dunker tank? And I went, poof, you're a dunker tank. That's a joke. So what I want to do is case the movement now, because this case has been cleaned. I cleaned it with lighter fluid. It's all ready to go. This is the old mainspring here. And let's have a look at the case here. This is the very old case it came with. And the old mainspring, and the watch is ticking nicely actually right now. It's just a beautiful thing to watch. And the case is in really good condition. I shined it up a bit, so it's got a little bit of a shine on it. And just open that up a bit. And the movement's got to go in here and like that. So this is the what do we call this? This is the serious side of the movement, where I got to put the crystal in the back in. So I need to basically first I need to find a crystal for this thing. So it did not have a crystal, but it's got some half screws on it. Now to put this watch back in place, I have to have the crown in there too at some point, but not right away, because I want to make sure it's aligned properly, right? So that's the crown there, and I want to make sure that is aligned. And let me just move my camera up just a tad here. So there we go. So that's the case there. So I'm going to put a glove on here on this hand, because I'm likely going to want to hold it from the face as I enter it up like that. This is where the lever set mechanism is. So this is the top part of the watch. So the watch will go in this way, and the screws will lock in that way. So there you go. And this little tiny screw is the one that's used to screw the crown down. So let's just get this done. So first I'm going to put a glove on the other hand too. All right, so I'm going to loosen this up and just pick it up, and it's ticking very nicely right now. So we've got probably some pretty decent amplitude, and I don't even have much of a wind on this movement right now. So one thing I want to make sure is that the regulator is in position. So this is the regulator here, the arm. And I can just lift this over and put it right there. And this little tiny wheel will move back and forth to just regulate the watch. I'm not sure what the timing is sitting at right now, but I do like to keep the watch in the movement, in the actual case, and not have it randomly moving around. So I'm also going to check and make sure it works sideways, and it also works upside down, which is actually face up, and it is working in all situations. So that's an excellent situation there. And now I'm looking at where the hole is. This is the entrance hole for the stem. Where the heck is the stem hole? There it is there. The old stem hole is right there. And it's lined up perfectly with that, with the dust cover for it. So there's the stem hole. There's the watch. I love this inside, this brass ring inside that sort of accents it with the dust cover. It's very beautiful. This is a very beautiful watch. So now I got to put this in place. Where is that stem? There it is again. And I think there's some, like right here, there's a piece of metal sticking out, and that might line up with a piece of metal that's on the side of the case, which is right there. So I may have to line those up when I put this in place. So that may have to go in first before I do this. So there's a little bit of a guessing game here that's going to go on, but please bear with me. I'm just going to get this to ride up here and see where it ends up. And I think that's an alignment hole. So, but it looks like it's there. So that's the alignment hole there. All right, there's a little if you can see that little knobby, and on the case there's a hole. I'll just hold it there for a second, but that little knobby, I can't point at it, but and there's a hole there, so that would go in first, like that, and then this would push up. So if that's in, then I've got no problem. If it's not in, then I just have to look at it again and make sure that's in place. So let me look at that again. That knobby is in place because I can see the piece of metal sticking through the hole. So then this should ride up, unless there's another knobby on the other side. Well, I do have the setting mechanism, and let me just move that around here. Yeah, the setting mechanism's in the way, so that has to move ever so slightly. So let me push this back out again, move it just a bit. Check the other side. No, it's still not in the right place. This is going to be fun, folks, I can tell. We have to get close to do this properly. Yeah, I can see it's fitting in the little knobby nicely, though. So that is where it goes. So if that goes there, then why is the setting mechanism in the way? Hard to tell. Very hard to tell. I think maybe the whole thing needs to shift or something, right? I may have to play with this for a while and then come back. Yeah, because that's in the way. If I pull it all the way out, is it still in the way? Probably is. I'm going to take it out of the knobby here for a second and just see if it rides up without it having to be in there. Sometimes these things are tricky to recase. Yeah, I may have to think about this one again. But you know it came out, so theoretically it should go back in. I can see where that little knobby is right there, and it looks like it wants to go in there, but it's the wrong place. That is weird. That is very weird. And that's a permanent fixture of this watch. So that, with the lever setting mechanism, is just slightly off. And I don't know if that moves. So I'm going to take the movement out for a second, very carefully, and I'm going to place it back in the Myers number 58 movement holder very carefully. And I want to check out that little knobby configuration to make sure I didn't make a mistake. So I'll have a look at that. So I've tried everything, but I'm going to have to make a slight adjustment to the inside of the groove here to allow the arm for the regulator to come in. So this allows me to align the pin on the bottom. So I'm not sure how this was before. It was obviously in there, but I've tried every angle. But just taking a 0.1 millimeters off the edge of that thing is not going to cause a problem functionally or from a aesthetic point of view, but it's going to allow me to get that in and allow the lever for the lever set mechanism to come in. So all I'm going to do is file that down a bit and then test it with the movement to make sure that that works, right? So there we go. So we'll do that and then we'll try it. And there we go. That little tiny adjustment, and that was right here, allows this to clear. So that was just a small adjustment in this movement, or in the case here. So now that I've got it in this situation here, I can very carefully put the case screws back. And there's these half screws that I absolutely despise, by the way. So I'm not sure who in the watch business back in 1886 decided that it would be easier to make half screws to maintain a watch, and then you'd have to figure out whether that half screw is in all the way or not. But they're a pain in the butt. So I think that it's replaceable, but these are very nice original half screws. The amplitude on this thing is getting better and better. This is looking really good. So I'm just very happy about that. I need to take my glove off because it's very hard to work screws with a glove on. I don't want to slip for sure. And I always point the screwdriver down. That way, if there's for some reason I slip, it's going to slip away from the balance. So I won't have that problem. And there we go. And let me get this one up a bit more. See how that half screw frigs you up? I'm not going to use the F word, but I'm pissed off at these stupid half screws. I hate them. Take off this friggin' glove. Use the frig word. I just hate these half screws. People are going to say, well, why don't you just replace it with a normal screw? Because it's original, and I want to keep it original. There we go. So that's in there. That is ticking away like you wouldn't believe. I'm going to have to check out the amplitude on that thing because that's a really nice thing. So and a quick way of just checking out the amplitude. And I don't have much of a wind on this. It's just to take a quick slow motion video and make sure it's at least ticking 360. And let's see what I got here from an amplitude. Oh yeah, that's really good. That's 360 for sure. Yeah, that's excellent. So that's a really good amplitude, and that's without a full wind. That's only a partial wind. Although I have heard and read that the most power from a pocket watch is after it's kind of almost halfway, but not full. And it's due to the actual geometry of the mainspring and the math involved. So I'm not going to get into it, but I could read that section of the book I have on that, and we could jostle about it for a while. But that's how it works. So now I've got that, and that is good. And I'm going to close this lid down to protect this beautiful watch. I'm going to put it in the timing machine for a second and see what I got though. So the bead air is a little tiny bit high, but I don't really want to fart with the bead air on an 1885 pocket watch. But the amplitude's around 200, but 190 to 200, and that's not with a full wind. I wound it a little bit, but it's running really well. It's a solid runner right now. And it is running with +3. The accuracy is actually +3 seconds a day. And I got the thing right here in the middle almost. So this is pretty good. Fast and slow. So what I'll do is assemble this watch, and then I'll make sure that everything is good with respect to the hands. I got to find a crystal for this watch as well. So that's the next thing to do. So what I'll do is I'll just close the case in the back for now, and very carefully close the case. Let me get my rag out here so I don't make any abrupt noises on closing this thing here. So I close the case like this, like that. It's still ticking nicely, and then close the back case. Now this is a little bit tight, but I'm not sure whether I can loosen that or whether I just leave it that way. So seems a bit tight though. It'll snap close, which is nice. So it's kind of like that. I don't think I can loosen that hinge at all, so it stays like that. And then the crown should slide in nicely now. It's been cleaned as well, so there's no issue with the crown. It's got to tuck in past that screw point though, so I got to take this screw out a bit. I take it out a bit, and then the crown will go by that point. Probably about that much, and then the crown will go by that point. Come on, you can do it. There we go. And now it's in winding position, and now I can tighten the crown back. A little bit bigger screwdriver here to do that with. Let me see. Now maybe this is right. So I tighten this up here. I really want to get my eyeballs a bit closer to the problem though. I'm going to use a red bladed screwdriver, which is a little thicker. And you definitely don't want to force this. You want to tighten it until it's in the groove, because all it's doing is keeping the crown in place, that's all. It just needs to stay where it is. And there we go. So that's in place right now, and that should wind the watch. And that is in fact winding the watch. And this watch then will have a lot more power. The amplitude will increase as I wind it up a bit. So I don't recommend winding it all the way. I usually wind it maybe 20 turns max. And then I want to make sure the setting mechanism works. So I pull that back and I turn it, and I'm looking at the center here, and I can actually see the center wheel moving. So I'm good there. Push that back in place, and now it's in winding configuration again. And now I'm going to check the amplitude again just to see what the wind did to it. Alright, so the amplitude got up to 239, which is pretty friggin' high from where it was. And the beat error is almost at 1 right now, but it's at plus 73, so I could take some power off that. But what I'd like to do before I do that, it's not really necessary, is to actually find a crystal that'll fit in there. So, and what I'd like to do is I want to fit the crystal while this is in place, I think, only because I want to make sure that this snaps on without breaking the crystal. And I can glue this in place, or I could put it down, fit it, and then glue it in place after. So what do you think I should do? All comments are welcome. And before I fit the crystal in, you got to pull the setting mechanism lever arm out before you pop the bezel down, because it's right where my screwdriver is, and it won't fit properly. So let me go hunting for a crystal first, and then see if I can find myself a crystal. I only have the minute hand. I don't have an hour hand. I have the hour hand. I have what's left of the hour hand is this. So that's not an hour hand, but it gives me a good sizing. And I do have the seconds hand, so but I'm not going to put that in right now until I've found that. And I've got the leftover mainspring where it broke, and the other leftover mainspring here. So, but this is running really strong, which is nice. So I'm going to hunt for a crystal right now for this watch. Now I was lucky to find a lot of, like a full lot of crystals here. I've got all kinds of crystals and all kinds of random crystals. I've got all kinds of other crystals, and I've got bags of other crystals. But I was lucky to find from New Brunswick, actually, Canada, a set of crystals here that somebody had for pocket watches. And I have a lot of the low dome Flexo watch crystals that are made for this kind of a pocket watch. So these are low dome pocket watch and timers. So I need to size this first. So I get out my micrometer first to size it. Now I'm not ordering a crystal here, I'm finding one. So I can use the micrometer this way here and just go like that on one edge. I just want to know in general what size am I looking at here. And so I'm looking at a, come on, I don't even need to put the battery in this thing. I think it's going to be close enough. So I'm looking at a 48, I think. Yeah, it looks like a 48. So this is right over here, 48. So this is close enough for me to just look and see what I've got here. So if I look at my set of crystals here, the 48 might not be, so this is a 48 here, right? It says 43.1 millimeters. Now I'm not sure whether that will line up properly with the 48 measurement. I'm never sure whether that's real or not. So this is 49.5. It's a hunting case crystal. So if I take that out and put that in, and this would be the perfect size, perfect crystal. But if I look at that, That's too small, right? And that's 49.5 on the bottom, and it's 44.1 millimeters is what it says, but 49.5 HC. So you guys can write me and tell me what the hell HC means. So 49.5, and that's a pretty darn big crystal. Can I find anything bigger than that? I'm not sure. Here's another crystal here, and this looks like it's also too small. Yeah, that goes right through, and that was 43.1. So we're going to do a bit of hunting here. 49. There's a 50. There's a 50 hunting crystal for use with the CS insertion machine. I actually have that machine, and let me see what a 50 does. Is this going to go through? Oh, it doesn't go through. That's a good thing. And does that fit? Man, that's close. It doesn't go through, and it almost fits. So I'm gonna have to look at that really close here to see what I'm looking at here. Is that fitting or is it not fitting? It's a game of millimeters here. Yeah, that's too small. It needs to be just a bit bigger than that. So that's a 50. Now there's a 50. I actually have a 50.5 hunting crystal, if you can believe it. I also have a 52. I just saw it, but I don't think it's for hunting. No, it's not. It's not for hunting. I do have a 58, which is a monster. So this is a 50. And let me see what this looks like here. It's got to be able to go on the bezel here nicely and fit nicely. No, it needs to be a bit bigger than that. Oh my God, right? That is so close to fitting though. So close, it's making me sick. Yeah, that is so close. If I do this and I can feel it forming the circle, like running the circle, and it feels almost tight in there. It's just so close. So I think it's probably one step up from this one here. Yeah, so I'm going to just fart with this again. I'm going to go up from a 50 to see if I can find, there's a 54 here, but again, I don't know whether that's the right one. So I'm just going to play with this for a while and see what I end up with. Because I do go up to 56.5. I got a lot of crystals here. So this is a 52, and I'm not sure whether the 52 is the right size, or whether it's low dome enough to not interfere with the action of the case cover. So there it is there. It's not a raised dome though, which is good, and that's a 52. So a 52 may in fact fit. I just have to get this in here for a second and see what it looks like. That, my friends, I think is a fit. The best way for me to tell is to look on the inside of this, and I can tell when I pop this in, snap this in, that it's actually fitting. And there it is there. So that actually fits. So that's a good crystal for this, and I will glue that in. But now I have to see if I fit this on, right, on the watch itself, snap that down, is the lid going to close? That's the tricky part here, okay? Because the lid has to close. So I need to align that up like this. I've got a groove in here that's used for this. So where's my groove here? I got a couple of grooves here. I got one groove here and I got another groove there. It's pretty groovy. So I want to put that in like that. And then I want to pull out the setting mechanism enough. I got to pull the setting mechanism out enough to be able to close the crystal down, right? So There's a lot of hoping going on here, by the way. Because if this doesn't close, then it doesn't matter if the crystal fits, right? Then I have to find a lower dome crystal to fit in there. So let me just get this. Got to bring this to the other side of that little groove. There's a groove right there, and I got to move that the setting mechanism because it's lever set to the other side, and try to snap the crystal down. So let me just. This is very tricky to do. I'm doing it while I'm talking to you. Yeah, I don't think that's going low enough right now for me to snap that down. Oh, there we go. That's not bad there. Nah, friggin' thing just snaps right back in. So, but I want to test it to see if it that whole thing is going to go down enough. There's a groove there as well I got to pay attention to, and another groove right there. This thing has got way too many grooves. It's very groovy. I think right here I could push that down, but again, is that going to clear? So I need to pull out the setting mechanism arm. This is going to be tricky as hell. To pull out the setting mechanism arm, try to keep it out of the way. Nope, I'm going to have to get stuff out of the way to work on this. Let me just clean off my desk. I won't be able to fart with this unless the desk is cleaned off. So every one of these watches has its own personality. This one, because it's so old in the 1800s, you just have to be super patient and take your time when you're working with these, because you'll absolutely get angry trying to get this done. Of course, today I cut my fingernails at a medical appointment, and I wanted to make sure my fingernails were chopped down. So I'm just pressing down on this to hopefully I want to get this thing on the other side of this bar. I guess what I could do is put a piece of Rodico on there, right? Because it is man's best friend. So if I pull it out and put a piece of Rodico on the end and a ball, and it might keep it out of the way, right? So just bring this out, stick some Rodico on the darn thing. I'll try to rock it from this side, like that, there. So now I've got the arm on the outside here. Let me just do that here. So I've got the arm on the outside. I've got this pretty much lined up like that, and I think I've got the case lined up here. So theoretically, if I push down on this, it should snap on. So let's see what happens here. There we go. So that's snapped in place. The arm is on the outside, so I can pull that out for setting the watch. And it's snapped down. Now the question is that crystal too big? Press down on this. I think I just have to press down on this because I don't think this watch has a latch. Oh, it does have a latch on it. Of course it does. There's the latch. So if I push down on the latch, then do that. Oh my God, it fits. It fits, folks. So this crystal is absolutely perfect. That fits nicely. And what time is it right now? It's 4:52. I still have to find hands, but this is the perfect crystal. So what size was that again? It was a 52, I think, that I cut. This is the crystal right here. It was a PKH 52, which is 45.7 millimeters, and it fits. And the watch closes down perfectly. So the only thing I have left to do is to install hands. But look at that, folks. Look how beautiful that looks. And there it is there. And it's got the silver tone case. Let me close that up a little. There it is there. Ticking away like it's brand new. All right. And tomorrow morning I'm going to find the hands, because I have to find a set of hands that'll fit on there. I have the one hand, but I want to make sure I've got a nice set of hands for this watch. So, and that's it. So I'm JD. Thanks for watching this second to last assembly, I'll say, for this beautiful old pocket watch. But we got ourselves a beautiful fit on the crystal. I'm very happy with that. That's actually staying in place too. I don't know if I even need to glue it. As long as they don't just throw it around, it will stay in place, because they're meant to do that, because they're flexo fit crystals. So there we go. Stay tuned. I'm going to put this video up now, and thanks for watching my channel. So that's it. I'm JD again. Thanks for watching this. The crystal fit is absolutely impeccable. That is a beautiful crystal. So this is new old stock. This crystal is probably 50, 60 years old, and it's a GS Flexo low dome. It is low dome, so Flexo low dome crystal for pocket watches. And I've got stock of crystal that's really useful that I got from a company out of New Brunswick. I bought it off of eBay, and it's just been a blessing to have this stock of crystals. So, and these crystals will run you, if you buy one and get it shipped, it's going to run you probably $50 at least to get that properly fit and sized in there. So that's a really nice add-on to this particular pocket watch. So now I just have to find the right hands for the watch, and then it's done. It's running extremely strong. I think I need to slow it down a bit. It's running at like plus 75, but I'm not worried about that yet. I'll get the hands on it, and I do have a set of second hands, and I do have the minute hand. I just don't have the hour hand, and that minute hand is a bit bent a bit, so I may not want to use that. I may want to find a different set. So that's it for today, and I think I'll finish this watch off a little later and make this video here, and we'll get the hands fit. So that was the crystal, and we're good to go.